A report on the status of education in rural India released by the Human Resource Development Department and Minister Pallam Raju on Thursday in Delhi has raised many alarm bells. There has been a decline in the education standards in rural India across many parameters, and questions have been raised about whether the Right to Education Act has actually led to any improvement in India's literacy.
In this report that I am holding, released by the NGO Pratham for 2012, there is loads of bad news. The basic learning abilities of children has come down drastically. The ability of young children to solve simple mathematical problems has come down. In some cases, the rate of enrollment of girls into schools has also come down. Very worrying signs for those who run the education system in India. In its report on the annual status of education for rural India for 2012, the NGO Pratham has come up with some alarming figures. According to the report, there is a sharp decline in the reading ability of children, especially in government schools. In 2012, just 5 out of 10 students in class 5 across rural India could solve a simple 2-digit subtraction problem. More and more parents seem to be depending on private schools in rural India. In 2012, 45% of all students enrolled in class 1 to 8 were attending private schools. And in the same year, the enrollment rate of girls in schools showed a decline in a few states.
Naturally, I am worried about it, and I am hoping that by next year, things would pick up. We have been spending a lot of money, definitely, on improving the reach of schools. As you know, as per the Act, there has to be a school offering primary education within a kilometer. And also the recruitment of teachers, and also the midday meal scheme. And in very, very rural areas, we've also provided for hostel facilities for girls, so to help increase the retention ratio. So all these are interventions that the Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan and the Right to Education Act have been doing. And that is how we could get such a high enrollment. Yes. If you looked at the report, the enrollment has been over 96% for the last few years. And that is the first step. Now the second step is we definitely have to focus on the quality aspect. But in the interim, if there is a tendency for parents to admit their kids into private schools, I would not be unduly alarmed about it.
Yeah, I think that it's how you look at the way forward. The ASER reports have been coming out for the last 8 years. And for the first couple of years, we would look at learning levels. We look at very basic learning levels, ability to read simple text, ability to do simple arithmetic. And we saw that things were steady. They were low, but they were steady. The last couple of years that we see a big decline, I think has to be taken seriously. The minister's comments indicate that they will be taken seriously. And I think it coincides with the Planning Commission's 12th plan document, which puts this whole business of learning right at the center. So we've spent many years getting all our children into school, and the time is more than ready for really now looking at what do we gain from every year that we spend in school.
The report by Pratham, the only survey of its kind across the country, also criticized the Right to Education Act, saying that it may have led to relaxation of classroom teachings, since examinations and assessments are scrapped till higher classes.
But one interesting point which this report has brought up is actually the decline. We would expect that quality would actually increase given the increased focus on education, but they've actually linked it. Madhav Chauhan made the point that this decline is almost coincides with the introduction of the Right to Education Act. Now, that is a very ambitious act which widened the scope of children in school. But is there in any sense a link to the decline as well here?
Yes, I think the focus has been on the capacity and also in our anxiety to get every kid into school. And I think that rightly so we have to do that as we feel that it's a right. But now we have to focus on the learning outcomes. But I think the relaxation of the norms that one need not once there are no exams till a certain class. I don't think that would be a factor that would have affected, because like I said earlier, the aspiration levels in rural India are also going up parallelly like elsewhere. And I do not think that that would result in a neglect of the studies.
I don't see a connection with RTE there. I think there are a large number of things happening, because education, unlike what the minister said, is not something which you can change in 1 or 2 years, no matter what you do. So what we are witnessing is the accumulated effect of very long-term trends, possibly of decline in the quality of teachers' recruitment, and various other things could well be there. I wouldn't rush into reading that. The real thing is that RTE, while the law has come into being, its right to schools, it hasn't yet become a right to education.
In the report, just a few positives. The pupil-teacher ratio in schools is up, and so are the proportion of schools with usable toilets. But the question is, how soon can the government act to ensure that this crisis in our education system can be stemmed now? With camera person N. Ravi, Alok Pandey, NDTV.
India's #1 news app. Just got even better. Download NDTV's new app. Fully optimized for retina display. Full screen view. Faster response time. And Sudoku. NDTV's new iPad app. Download now.